Popular, but it's just the way it is.
All right, we are ready to roll. We are on.
Always.
Okay. Yes. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White.
Yep,
Take it
good
away.
morning.
Take it away,
Good morning.
Vanessa.
Detroit and Black and White viewers. We are here at McShane's on the corner of Michigan and Trumbull. And we have a really good show on deck today. If you're watching, like, subscribe, share. Allan Lengel is in sunny California. And is Adolph on deck yet?
He's not coming on today.
Oh, he's not on deck. Well, he out.
He wants to just watch today.
Okay, he's just going to watch. Okay. All right. So, good morning. We also have Mr. Eric Brown, co-host today. And we also have Jim Nardone, who will be co-hosting today.
Okay. Can you guys need to speak up a little bit?
You can't hear
And
me?
also, there's an echo going on here.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Hello,
Shit.
hello.
All right. Hello. Yeah. I mean, there's an echo happening here. Teresa, can you hear? All right.
Technical difficulties. Just hold on a minute. We'll get
Yeah. And you could be coming in clearer, but I'm echoing.
Oh, you're echoing. You're not echoing to us here.
Oh, really? Okay.
We hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, and there's no echoing going on? Okay.
No, but you know what? You're in the nuts. So
I'm hearing.
anyway. All right. So we're gonna start off with the outrage of the week. I don't know who wants to start first. It's usually ladies first, but I'm gonna let you guys.
Why don't you, Eric? Why don't you start today?
My echo. My outrage of the week is I really think that the Black electorate needs to pay attention. There's a reason why the old guy is not doing well in the polls, and to continuously deny that, you need to come to reality. The guy has not been a good president. The guy should have never been elected president. And if you are old enough to vote in 1988 or 2008, did not consider him a consideration, why you did in 2020 just because you didn't like number 45 is beyond me. But for 2024, you need to find another candidate. He's not the one. He validated you all by telling you Black if you vote for him. What has he done for you since? Absolutely nothing.
Listen, Eric, you know what? I disagree. Listen, at the end of the day, I will say this, that for me, for Vanessa Moss, it really doesn't make me any difference who's in the White House. It didn't change my life much when Trump was in office. But I will say, since Biden has been in office, I have reaped some benefits. One of which, some of my student loans was forgiven. So you know what? You're gonna get my vote.
But what bothers me about the student loan, if you buy a car, you get a loan, what's the expectation? You get a mortgage, what's the expectation? So when people use the loan, student loan, people use student loan, I paid my loans. I didn't get any forgiven. So at the end of the day, that's not my problem. I knew what my obligation was when I got a loan. Everyone knows the obligation when they get a loan. You sign on the dotted line, your responsibility is to pay it back.
For someone like myself who work in the community, when I worked for the public school system, because I worked in the at-risk community, those student loans, my undergrad loans were forgiven because I was giving back to the community. As an attorney, I still do the same thing. So he's getting my vote. And I don't care how old he is. Listen, you can sit on the United States Supreme Court until you're 102 if you live that long.
Okay, that rule needs to change too. That needs to be changed too.
They're not changing the Constitution.
Bottom line, he's not gonna get my vote.
To talk about his
He's never gotten my vote.
I'm sorry. I think he's old enough. He's capable enough.
Well, that's
Thank
debatable about
you.
capable.
All right.
Who saw the debate? Who saw the debate on Fox News the other night? Probably
The one
nobody.
with the
No.
scientist
Did
and the
you
other
watch
guy.
it?
With Gavin Newsom and the Democrats have somebody on the horizon. All right, I disagree with him on about I don't know
Newsom?
60-70% of what he believes in because he's a gun grabber and I don't believe in gun grabbing. But I tell you what, the guy won the debate for sure. He's the rising star, and DeSantis is the falling star.
Yeah, that's true. Well, as far as rising star, I mean, the people in California don't really like him. They tried to recall him. So
And it didn't happen, right?
you still got recall. There's a reason why
But
you get
it
recalled.
didn't happen. Okay, sure.
I'd like to weigh in there.
Go
I'd
ahead.
have to, yeah, I want to say I disagree with Eric. I mean, look, should there be? I mean, it's
My
a
wife
little
disagrees with me at times too. So
yeah, well, it's a little mind-boggling. I mean, why he would want to run again is, there were. I mean, at that age, who wants to work that hard and have that much stress in your life? But look, he came in under crazy circumstances. He came in during the COVID. There was a shortage supplies of everything. There was a labor shortage. The inflation was going crazy. I mean, they've kind of stabilized. Somebody put something on Facebook this morning and said, I paid I don't know what they said. They paid $2.78 a gallon for gasoline. I blame Joe Biden, kiddingly saying the gasoline prices have gone down. The inflation is coming under control. It's like nobody.
Allan, come on. People need to quit talking about inflation coming under control. First of all, I'm in the HR field. And being in the HR field, when people talk about a labor shortage, there was no labor shortage. People stopped going to work when COVID took place. That's not a labor shortage. Jobs are
There
just
still
being
is.
replenished.
No,
But when you talk about it's not.
I'm in
You use the labor. I'm in HR. I'm speaking from an HR professional. We had people that stopped coming to work. Number one, they stopped coming to work voluntarily. These are just jobs that are just being replenished from those that stopped coming to work. That is not a labor shortage. So that narrative needs to stop first and foremost.
No. You're wrong. Look, I'm here in California.
I am not wrong. Look at any Bureau of Labor Statistics report. I am not wrong.
I'm here in California. Give you an idea. All right.
Well, a lot of people are homeless, particularly if you're in Los Angeles or San Diego or San Francisco or Oakland. A lot of homeless people. So go ahead.
I'm going to say right down the block from where I'm staying is a Carl's Jr. It has a sign on the front. It says $17 an hour will hire on the spot. When was the last time? Does that not scream desperation? We need help.
Desperation because people left the job market and they have a shortage of workers. If you're in a drive-through line and waiting 30 minutes for your drive-through, that's because there's a shortage of workers. Workers have not come back. They're using these numbers to obviously fool a lot of
people. What does that mean? Eric, it doesn't matter if workers are not coming back for whatever reason. There are job openings that aren't being filled. It doesn't matter what.
Which means that people have left. They're trying to replenish jobs from where people have left. That's what that means.
So, yeah, but look,
you guys are giving them. First of all, Allan, let's go back to 2020 after the elections. Every single exit poll showed that people settled on the old man. They did not vote for him. They settled on him because they did not like number 45. So why is it that number 45 is doing much better now in 2024?
And let me tell you this, and then we're going to go to Jim for his outrage, and then eventually Allan and I get to our outrage. But let me tell you this.
Yeah.
We know that this is a system, two-party system, right?
Only because people don't have a wherewithal to vote for someone else.
It doesn't matter why, it is, okay? At the end of the day, you're going to vote here or you're going to vote there. Most of us want to be on the winning team, okay? Whether you get a ring or not, you want to be on the winning team. He is going to be the person that's going to be at the top of the ticket. So you either vote for him or you vote for the other guy that occupied the office. I will say this, though. In reality, I like to joke a lot. At the end of the day, when Trump was in office, it didn't stop me from eating. It didn't stop me from breathing. It didn't stop me from getting gas. It didn't stop me from getting groceries. None of that. And I would say the same with Biden and whoever else ends up in office at the end of the day. So that's how I land with that. That's Jim.
Hello.
Hi. What is your outrage?
I want to talk about Raphael Washington, the Wayne County Sheriff. Unfortunately,
He sounds like he's giving a speech.
Am I getting speech? We have a real leader coming on the show that came from the Detroit Police Department in a short period of time here on our show. But I want to go back to Ray Washington. Maybe when you were wandering around that Southfield neighborhood at your ex-wife's home, that was a misunderstanding. Maybe because we have a litigious society, those young ladies.
Was he peeping in the window?
Yes, he was.
I thought so.
Maybe these young ladies that sued either Detroit or Wayne County for sexual harassment. Maybe it's a litigious society as an attorney. Maybe they just wanted a payday, Ray, and you weren't really harassing them. Maybe, all right. But when you go on TV, when you stand up at a press conference, when a man dies in your jail, and you say it's the deputy's fault, it's only the deputy's fault, you're absolutely wrong. Have you ever had a class in risk management, Mr. Sheriff? Have some courage. You're a jellyfish. You have no spine. You are responsible. Look, when you get elected to be the Wayne County Sheriff, you're responsible. All right.
Wow.
You take responsibility. You don't blame it on the deputy. Didn't he have a boss? And he have a boss, and he have a boss, and it lands in your lap. And for you to say it's the deputy's fault when we're going to have to pay the fine, when we're going to have to pay the bill, is ridiculous. Have some courage.
Yeah, the family of the decedent. This is what you get from your leadership. This is what you get from your leadership.
I'm going to tell you this. That man, like the man that's going to sit in front of us in a minute here, and I were police officers. I want to give that gentleman credit. I want to give Ray Washington credit. He was a motor officer. I always had trouble going against a police officer because I know what it takes. All right. I've been a police officer. It's a tough job, but the boss is responsible. When I was a police chief, there were mistakes that our guys made, and I wanted to crawl under my desk and hide for a week. But I had to take responsibility. That's what a good leader does.
That's what you signed up for.
We have a county executive who I have a great deal of respect for. We have a Wayne County prosecutor I have a great deal of respect. I don't always agree with her, but I have a great deal of respect for her. These people came out for you. They're leaders. I can't see the people that we're talking about come out and say that prosecutor really screwed up. It has nothing to do with me. That county employee really screwed up. It has nothing to do with me. It's all their fault. You need to go to a leadership class. Something's wrong here.
Wow. I think you're going to school him on that. Why don't you go over there, knock on the door?
Again, I want to give him credit. He fought crime in Detroit for however long, 25 years. And I have a hard time going after a guy that did that. He earned the respect of the citizens for being a police officer in Detroit and working for Wayne County. But there comes a time where you have to take responsibility and stand up. Walk in, put your uniform on, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm the sheriff, I'm responsible. Not this poor young man or lady who didn't do their rounds. They didn't do the rounds, but guess what? You didn't have enough employees on duty. There's plenty. It's a risk management issue. There's a series of issues that created this man's death, and this man's family doesn't deserve the Wayne County Sheriff to stand up there and say, well, it's not has anything to do with me. That's what I saw on Channel 7 last night.
Wow. Allan, you want to take it?
Yes. I will not be preaching like you guys is hard, but I appreciate the fire and brimstone there. My thing is on the vote yesterday on ex-congressman George Santos. Yeah, I mean, a guy, come on. We got 3 out of our 6 Michigan GOP Congress members, Tim Walberg, John Molnera, and Bill Huzaza or whatever. They voted against the expelling him. And you had 3 Congress members, Republicans, who did vote to expel Lisa McLean and John James and Jack Bergman. But it's outrageous. The guy was the most disgraceful. He was a Saturday Night Live skit every day. He was so disgraceful. He's a thief. He's a liar. It's documented, and the ethics report comes out just damning him for so many things, spending campaign money on Botox and trips to Vegas. The guy is a scam artist to the 10th degree, and you have some Congress members, more than 100 who voted against expelling him because they said, no, we have to wait till he gets convicted. Well, he's facing, quite a few felony charges. It's disgraceful. This Congress, I mean, back in the day when Nixon went off the rails, the Congress members, Republicans, went to the White House and said, you got to go. And he went. You don't see that. I mean, it took this much, a House ethics report, to push him out. I mean, it's disgraceful, and it's all about power. And it's, I think it only cheapens the brand, the GOP brand, when you see people like that doing that.
All
That's
right.
my.
Well,
Hello?
Pay attention to pop culture. So we have T.I., Tip Harris, and what's his wife's name? Tiny Harris. They have children together. They have a son named King Harris. And last week they were at a football game, and this young man wants to talk about how he grew up in the hood, where he grew up in a mansion, right? He wants to talk about how he stand on his business. As he said, I hadn't heard that one before. He stand on his business. I think I'm commandeered that phrase. He stand on his business. Anyway, he act a plumb fool and want to say, and he said that, I grew up in the hood. Eric and I was talking. I'm like, since when is it so great that you aspire, that your parents worked very hard? His father just did a
homeless
program for affordable housing on November the 14th there in Atlanta. His parents are doing work in the community. And you want to say that you grew up in the hood to get what? To get what? To get what? That is ridiculous. There are so many people who grow up in the hood, whatever the hood is, right? They aspire to get out and do better. His parents did better. Everybody know who T.I. is, okay? T.I. has done some time, right? So it's just outrageous that these kids think it is so great to say, hey, I'm from the hood. That's my outrage.
You have to give, to that point, you have to give Michael Irvin some credit too, because his son tried to come out and say how hard he was with being a gangster. And Michael Irvin, a Hall of Fame football player from the Dallas Cowboys, nipped that in the bud real quick. Like, fool, you grew up in a mansion.
Right.
Right.
Insulting. It really is insulting. Yeah. So that's my outrage. I think we need to go up against a break, and then when we come back, we'll come back with our first guest. If you are watching, like, subscribe, and share. And guess what? We have somebody in our guest audience that just popped up, so we're going to actually bring him to the table a little later on today.
All right.
Thanks, Charles, for letting me use your gardening supplies. I'll make sure I put it back in the garage. Man, tending to that lawn is a lot of work.
Tell you the truth, Jim, I'm more concerned about keeping this house.
What's going on?
Well, Sarah lost her job 2 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Since we lost that income, the bills have been piling up, and we're so far behind. I don't want to lose the house because of back taxes. I don't know what to do.
I understand. The same thing happened to my sister and her husband when he lost his job. Do you know that the Wayne County Treasurer has plans and programs to help people stay in their homes?
No, I didn't. Tell me about it.
Yeah, go to www.treasure.waynecounty.com and see if you qualify.
What's that site again?
www.treasure.waynecounty.com.
Got it.
Because I live in Detroit, I was able to get tuition-free college through the Detroit Promise. I feel very fortunate working with the Detroit Promise. They were able to afford me so many opportunities. I'm currently studying media production and journalism at University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm looking to take my talents further into the production industry, short films. I love working with people here, and this is where I want to be. And that's why I'm Detroit for life.
All right, we are back.
We are back, and we are back with our first guest this morning. Can you see Todd? Can you see him?
We can see him. Yeah, maybe he's on the edge there.
Come on.
Right, I'm trying to. Teresa, maybe. There you go. She got it.
He awful. No, he awful.
We're good now.
You good?
He's got his lion showing. I can see that.
Right. Okay, Deputy Mayor, good morning. Welcome back to Detroit and Black and White. What you got on deck for us today? First of all, do you have an outrage?
Huh.
Yeah, I do have an outrage.
What is it?
You know, I listen to hip hop, you know, and
Me
so
too.
when you were talking about the hip hop and stuff like that, I'm a hip hop head. So my station stay on JLB. If you saw my playlist, oh yeah, oh, I mean,
You gotta get satellite, bro.
man, I gotta listen to the community. Did you hear the Detroit for Life? See, the product that we're pushing out, you hear the health department commercials, you hear that. But my outrage is, and I don't want to pick on any artist per se, but you know, I'll just say it. Hip hop with the lyrics, and it just always manages to go to, when you're trying to inspire our youth, to another level of I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. And so I'm just gonna say this one artist name, and no disrespect to the young lady. There's young guys out there too who can always take it to another level of low. But Sexy Red. I just can't. I'm like, you know, but a young lady.
And she in family way. She's in family way.
I know she is.
And this, I agree with you.
And then what is it? Gorilla with the video with the girl that was pregnant and drinking on the video.
Can I raise my hand,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor?
Eric, please help me.
Who the hell is Sexy Red?
Are you?
My God.
Oh my God, she's the hottest, youngest hip hop star that came out of nowhere from St. Louis.
I asked for Jim too, because neither one of us knew who it was.
Listen, everybody in Detroit, all the young folks, everybody under 35 knows who she is. And if the song come on, but the level of vulgarity and just taking it to another low. You know, when City Girls came out, I thought that was pushing it. But then Glorilla took it to another level, lower, and Sexy Red. I ain't hating. I'm just saying I got daughters, and I'm
Be
like,
better.
don't listen.
That brings up a good point, you know, because someone put a post out earlier this week on Facebook comparing Taylor Swift to
I'm so sick of
some
that.
artist. I have no idea who it was, but she was half naked, and they're saying, how is it that she's able to sell herself with her clothes on, whereas it takes a black female rapper taking her clothes off to sell herself?
Yeah.
And what I just saw, that validates the post.
Yeah. You know, we as a culture, you know, all of us.
That's Sexy Red.
Yeah. And she's with child now,
Yeah.
and she's still twerking with
Yeah.
child. And
She making it do what it do.
she is.
She making it do what it do.
And here's the
I
thing.
can still move it.
And you know, principals are inviting her into the high schools, and
They are.
the
Oh,
girl,
really?
yeah, she goes into high schools, and all the girls go crazy. But see, here's the problem with the type of music. Even if they cut the lyrics out, all the kids sing it anyway.
Oh, right, yeah.
But you know what, though? There's no excuse for that.
Yep.
Kids can't discern the fact that this is entertainment. This is how she makes her bread. They look at it, oh, this is for real, right? And it's really unfortunate because you have, like you said, you have people bringing her into schools. Is this what you want your kid to aspire to be? Aspire to do? Now, on the flip side of that is this. It's a legitimate source of income.
Absolutely.
She's providing for her family.
Absolutely.
And
It's free
some will
speech.
say that some will say that she's giving back to the community. She's going back into the hood. I'm just saying.
Right. And everything you're saying is absolutely true. But when you're trying to, I'll say this, your shirt says literacy. The city of Detroit, Mayor Doug, in our city, we do have a huge problem with illiteracy. And the jobs that we're bringing in, we need to make sure that our Detroiters are ready. You know, and so with Detroit for Life, with that campaign, let me hold up my prop. And you all just saw the commercial as well that we're pushing out. Without knowing the opportunities are there and knowing it's for you, then it's like no opportunity. We have invested over $100 million into scholarships, getting readiness into, like I said, Detroit It Works, in a program that we have called Jumpstart.
Paying people to get their GED.
I got a whole book here. They can go online. I'm going to leave this with you as well, because I want Detroiters to know that there are opportunities for them. And with the jump start that we started, and I know, Eric, what you said about President Biden. Now, I will say this. Because of President Biden, I can talk to what he's done for the city of Detroit, the millions that he's gotten. Even when he was vice president, he gave us enough money to buy 100 buses when we were coming out of bankruptcy. And so him and Mayor Duggan have a great relationship. The mayor was able to finesse and working with the White House, be able to get Detroit the third highest, largest amount of American Rescue Plan Act money, which has allowed us with all the parks, with the low-income housing, with all the stuff that we're doing, with programs like this, it's benefiting the city of Detroit, real tangible results. And I'll say this as well. Our demolition program, I got another prop. I like bringing props, and I keep these props for myself because they have to motivate me. This is the number one, everybody. I keep this on my desk, and I'll look at it because I'm working for the city of Detroit, and we got to keep Detroit number one. We got the number one demolition program in the country. We have, but we needed it, right, with the amount of abandoned houses we had.
Right.
When Mayor Duggan took office in 2014, guess how many abandoned houses we had in the city of Detroit?
Too many.
45,000. Guess how many we got today?
How many?
5,000.
Wow.
Guess how many we're going to have in 2024 at the end of next year?
0.
Yeah, not quite that much because we tear down about, we're going to have about 2,500 with the Detroit Land Bank. We're selling the houses.
Right.
And so we're increasing people property value because what's the largest investment that most people will make? Eric,
House.
Your house. Yeah. Is your investment worth anything if it's next to an abandoned house and you got abandoned houses around your largest investment?
No.
So,
hey, Todd.
Yeah.
Todd, how much does that cost for each house? How much does it cost the city to knock down each one?
Because we have to do it in a different way now. You don't just knock them like we used to back in the day. It used to cost about $13,000, but because of environmental concerns, making sure the asbestos isn't flying in the air, it's up to about $22,000 now.
22,000.
Wow.
And what about there was an issue with the dirt? Has that all been resolved in terms of getting the proper soil and all that?
Oh, absolutely. We ensure, and dirt costs a lot of money. And one of the things that we do as well, so that's been resolved. We're making sure that we support small businesses. So I could have had we could have them all knocked down if we just gave it to a big company. So you get the contract, but that wouldn't have diversity. It wouldn't have Detroiters. And so many of the small mom and pops that are participating in the largest demolition project in the country, they're people from Detroit, people that that look just like you, us. It is diverse.
And Kai has Todd that there be a very concerted effort to focus on education. And the reason why I say that, I thought it was an abysmal embarrassment for the superintendent to give a state of education report and brag about a 12.6% third grade proficiency rate, saying it was better since before COVID. Well, before COVID, it was only 12.4.
Right.
So how do you get in front of people in the city and brag about a 0.02% increase and think that's progress? That's not progress. I was talking to someone from one of the premier schools in this city, Renaissance. He himself said that until parents in the community come together with a concerted effort to make education a priority, it will always be a problem to fill these jobs you're talking about.
So
I agree with Eric, and Eric and I talked about this before we got on air because I worked in the school system, and I gave him the story about how I was told to change grades because too many kids were failing, and how much of a disservice they did to those individuals. How are you getting people interested in this program, especially when we have such a low literacy rate here in the city of Detroit? How are you getting these people engaged?
So word of mouth, also social media, also investing in campaigns to put it on all different forms. I have to meet people where they're at.
Right.
By coming on shows like this, you all are helping get it out. Because let's face it, on 247, the people who need it most not looking.
Right.
They're not watching. And so we have to meet them on their own algorithm. So even if it takes Sexy Red to come here and talk about something like this, I'm going to use wherever I can, because at the end of the day, you have to let folks know that it's for them. And just like with the Detroit Promise,
Mhm.
a lot of folks don't know. In the city of Detroit, it's opportunities for you. You in Detroit, if you live in Detroit, you can go to college, to any community college for free with the Detroit Promise. And another thing that we're doing to get more kids involved is with our Grow Detroit Young Talent Program.
Mhm.
We have about 10,000 kids in their summer employment, keeping them off the street,
Right.
teaching them the soft skills, getting them involved. We're also integrating that with Detroit Promise, exposing them to it so that they know that, hey, because oftentimes your parents will say, you can't go to college, we can't afford college. Don't worry about that. If you live in Detroit, you can go for free. If you got a 3.0, you can also go to a 4-year university for free. And so working very closely with Wayne State, Detroit Public Schools Community District, etc., ensuring that the information is out. Because, my mother was a Detroit school teacher. She did 38 years.
Wow.
And so I heard all the stories when she came home. I know about the No Child Left Behind initiative. I know how they just pass kids regardless. And if you don't learn how to read by the 3rd grade,
you lost. And and I wish the Detroit Promise was around when I was in a student in Detroit, because I would have met both criteria: community college for free, college for free,
Right.
and I wouldn't have to worry about any promises to pay back some damn loans, of which I know I signed on for. But be that as it may, yeah, they have to do. I mean, because Big Sean, he's an advocate for education,
Right.
So you need to use people like him or people listening to him. I mean,
So Todd, I do have a question, and then Jim's going to ask you a question. With the
And then we're
program
going to take a break after that. Go ahead.
with the program that you're talking about, does this have anything to do with, because I had a relative call me and said that she's involved in a program where it's through the city of Detroit. She's learning computer skills and all of that.
that's
And does she gets a stipend or something like that? I think that's wonderful. So I have somebody in my family that is benefiting from the program.
I love all these projects.
I mean,
And what I think is really interesting, if you can just
$860 a month.
share with
awesome.
us how
That
you're
is awesome.
taking the burden away from the city of Detroit residents and taxes, and if you're getting grant money and federal money through the Biden administration to help with some of these programs, to take the burden away from the Detroit taxpayers.
Absolutely. The most precious thing that we have are our citizens. That's the biggest investment. So we have to invest in them. When we're trying to get corporations to move and bring jobs to the city of Detroit, like the Amazons and the other high techs, one of the things that they'll look at is, do you have a workforce that's educated and capable and competent and
Fill the
ready to
jobs.
work?
Right.
And so as we elevate the competency level, the literacy level, and get them these technical skills that they need. Because one thing about it, we know that our Detroiters want to work. They got that grit. And so the city of Detroit is going to work to get them on that level and keep them on the level so that when the jobs do come, which they're coming, you see they're coming, and that offsets the tax base. It allows us to be able to provide the city services that everybody needs and deserve. That right there is the key.
And they're making it easier to get the jobs because they eliminated drug tax.
Right. Okay, we're going to pin in it. We're going to go to a commercial, then we'll come back.
All right.
Detroit itself offers a lot. You just got to be willing to do it. People don't know what you need unless you open your mouth and say, I need help. What inspired me to get my GED it was always a goal of mine. But what made it possible for me to get it was the city of Detroit. They gave you everything you needed to succeed. Just pick up the phone because you already got it in your hand. Get on the website. Detroit for life.
Matter of fact, she talked about the $860 stipend. Yeah, that's a good commercial.
All right, we back Detroit.
All right. One of our listeners had a question for Todd, and the question was, when you knock down the houses, what replaces it, and will there be some affordable housing, or is it just free market, or how does that work?
So one of the things that we're doing and have done is the side lot program. So if the vacant house is if the vacant lot is next to you after we've knocked down the house, you're able to buy that side lot for $100. And so citizens, we've sold thousands of side lots. Also, if it's a neighborhood group, a block club, they can come together and vote on it and buy multiple lots, and they've made community parks out of it. And then some of the vacant lots was going to be coming in 2024. That's really creative because we have a lot of land in the city. It's 140 square miles. And so we got roughly about 650,000 residents where we used to have 1.8 million. So we have a lot of land. So some of the land that we know that it's not conducive for development per se, we're going to make good use out of it because a lot of folks are dumping, illegal dumping. We're proposing putting solar fields in there. So we're going to have solar panels, and ultimately, city council will have to vote on it, but we're getting community buy-in. Community groups have signed up for it, say, hey, we want it in our neighborhood. We need about 250 acres. But this is the ingenious part about it because we want to go green, not have a carbon footprint. Those solar fields are going to power all of our municipal buildings.
Wow.
So that's going to save us from paying DTE about $8 million a year.
So is DTE giving a pushback? Because it's all about them making the money. And for years, even in 2016, we were talking about going green when I ran for Congress. And I know that it was a big push with these big energy companies. They didn't want that because they want to make sure that they put their feet in it, right? So now they own lots with solar panels because they still want to continue to make their brand.
It's so much out there for they haven't provided any pushback. They've been very cooperative with the city. And so DT is a partner. It hasn't been an issue. We've got nothing but cooperation, but we're going to do this because it's good for the city. And how can you argue against going green? How can you argue against that?
Well, not just that. You're not going to argue against it now because guess what? You own the lots with the solar panels, and so you're still making your bread. Initially, it was a huge pushback.
Right.
I paid very close attention to that.
Right.
And so now they're like, okay, well, that's fine. Go ahead and do that so that they can still make their money.
But the only commercial you need to run against DTE is not on a windy day, but you yourself go outside and blow at a light pole and lights go out. That's your commercial right there. Lights go every time it's a storm, and not just Detroit, but even out where I live,
consumers, everybody.
Yeah, so.
But you know what that tells us? That means that our city, over 300 years old, the infrastructure of it in modern cities, the utilities are below ground. So in a lot of our areas now, they put it underground so that it's not affected. That's what we got to get to.
But they say it costs too much money to do that, right? They say it costs too much money for them to do that underground. And that is why they can justify, giving people $35 when they're out of power, when the wind blows or we have these storms. We're going to give you $35. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. You spend money on what you want to spend it on, right? And as consumers, we're paying for it. We're going to end up paying for it anyway. So stop playing games with us, okay? That's all I have to say on that. So
I want to talk about the NFL draft. I couldn't be any more excited. If anybody's a football fan, the draft, Detroit is doing some great things. Let's talk about Detroit and the great things that are going on in the city. And the draft is one of the biggies.
Oh my God. Detroit, the draft is coming 2024. We're about 140 days out. And so it's going to be about 500,000 people.
About the party for
See, Detroit draft is going to be one of the biggest.
I'm not an NFL fan, so I won't be.
It's going to be all about the nightlife for me. Yay!
It's going to be one of the best. And so right downtown Detroit, the draft is coming and Detroit is ready. And
what's the date on that? What's the date?
I know it's like April 24th, April 25th. It's going to be that.
I thought it was earlier than that.
Yeah, it's in April. It's going to be that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
But you know what? Seriously, the fact that we got this #1 and demolition program, and Detroit has so much going on. The NFL draft, while I don't watch football anymore, I think it's wonderful. The world gets to see our beautiful city. I think it's awesome.
And it brings a lot of money. Because
of course,
April 25th to 27th.
April 25th through the 27th, but it brings a lot of money and resources. And you know what? A lot of folks still have the old image in their head of Detroit. But people come to the city and we're going to be on the world stage. It lets everybody know that Detroit is not the old Rust Belt of old that you thought about. We're tech. We're hip. We're we're here, we're building, and we're open for business. And so this is an opportunity where the world gets a chance to see us.
I was in a Uber here in California the other night, and there was a musician driving the car, and we started talking, and the guy said, "Wow, Detroit." He goes, "Detroit and Boston, those are two cities I really want to go to. I've heard a lot about Detroit." So, I mean, the word's gotten out that Detroit is. Did I what?
Did you give him a big tip?
I did. I gave him for probably a $10 ride. I gave him a $5 tip. So I wanted him to think, yes, Detroiters are awesome.
And you see the Lions are ready for the draft too, because you think about it. Last time I was here, Vanessa was saying SOL, and I said, nah, the Detroit Lions are not SOL. They are not the same old Lions this year.
That'll come out tomorrow. You'll see tomorrow.
So what say
we'll
you?
See who shows up tomorrow.
I still don't support the Lions. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fault. I don't care. But I'll wear Lions. I'll wear some Lions gear only because, you know, my brother was a huge Lions fan.
Still won't do it. I haven't watched a Lion game in 7 years.
No, I'm not watching it. I don't.
Hey, Eric,
go Lions. I guess.
I won't do it.
I can get you into the suite. Okay,
I've been in the suite before.
I want to talk to a Lion game.
I've been to the suite. I've been to the suite. The Lion game. I'll pass. I stand by my principle. I have not watched the Lions in 7 years, and I still won't watch it.
It's been long.
But when they're in the Super Bowl, you're gonna have to watch it.
No, I don't watch NFL at all.
You know what's gonna
Yeah, I
happen?
don't watch it either.
I'm gonna be walking down into a football game one day, and I'm gonna look over and I'm gonna say, "I know that lady. Who is that lady? It's Vanessa Moss."
At the game, right?
Yeah.
No, she could be on the field. She could be on the field. So,
Well, just you know what, you may be speaking something into existence. It won't be because I'm supporting the Lions. It's because I'm doing something else. How about that?
However you get there. However you get there.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we'll take you. We'll take you however you come. As long as you're there.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Okay.
Is our next guest on board or?
Yeah, he is. Let's do a commercial and then we'll come back. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Charles, for letting me use your gardening supplies. I'll make sure I put it back in the garage. Man, tending to that lawn is a lot of work.
Tell you the truth, Jim, I'm more concerned about keeping this house.
What's going on?
Well, you know, Sarah lost her job 2 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Since we lost that income, the bills have been piling up, and we're so far behind. I don't want to lose the house because of back taxes. I don't know what to do.
I understand. The same thing happened to my sister and her husband when he lost his job. Do you know that the Wayne County Treasurer has plans and programs to help people stay in their homes?
No, I didn't. Tell me about it.
Yeah, go to www.treasure.waynecounty.com and see if you qualify.
What's that site again?
www.treasure.waynecounty.com.
Got it.
What?
Because I live in Detroit, I was able to get tuition-free college through the Detroit Promise. I feel very fortunate working with the Detroit Promise. They were able to afford me so many opportunities. I'm currently studying media production and journalism at University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm looking to take my talents further into the production industry, short films. I love working with people here, and this is where I want to be. And that's why I'm Detroit for life.
All righty. We are back, and we're going to bring in Robert Brown here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Good. Everything's great. I'm if you hear a little roar in the background, I'm actually sitting at Niagara Falls.
Oh, wow. Niagara Falls. Slowly I step.
A little chilly, but it's okay.
So Robert's actually a fellow classmate. We were all in journalism together, me, him, and Adolph at Oak Park High School. And Robert is an attorney, and he lives down in Florida now, but he was at the University of Michigan. And you had a role on the football team. And tell us a little bit about it. And you're obviously still a big Michigan fan. And tell us we want to talk about some of the problems and the image issues and stuff like that. Tell us what was your role with
when I was I was there 1973. I started in 73, and I was a student manager for Bo Schembechler's teams for 4 years. I was also a student manager for the hockey team, and I worked in the sports information department as a student assistant. And since that time, I've been active with the Alumni Association. I'm on the board of the football alumni group for Michigan, and so on. So I've stayed involved and as an alum with the program, and I'm very well pretty familiar with what goes on, and obviously have a lot of interest in my alma mater and so on. Good and bad events.
Let's ask about, we had the Dr. Anderson issue, which seems to have kind of been resolved, but it was obviously one scandal, and now we've got the sign stealing scandal. Let's take the Dr. Anderson thing. Are we done? Do you feel like?
Yeah, it's done. In my mind, what the biggest issue for the university was the fact that they had under oath depositions of senior vice presidents on the campus who were aware of improprieties in the student health services, abuse of students, and they did nothing about it, didn't inform the athletic department, didn't fire, didn't put anything in the personnel file.
What was the reason?
Well, according to Thomas Easthope, according to his deposition, and Henry Johnson, they had other things to do. And that's what they said under oath. To me, that's the image, that's the issue of the university. Nobody, and I can tell you again, and you and I have talked about this before. I knew Bo Schembechler for many years. I saw this guy sit at the bedside of players who were ill, trying to get them kidney transplants, trying to do all these things 40 years after they left. The very thought that he would sit idly by and let anybody abuse his players other than him, and I'm saying that facetiously as a coach, is beyond belief. And even one of the captains of the team who came out at that later on said he was abused. I said, "Did you ever tell Bo?" He says, "No, he knew nothing about it. I was too ashamed. I wouldn't say anything." And he was a guy I have a lot of respect for. So I'm just saying it didn't happen. And Don Canham used to send his whole family to Dr. Anderson. So, but the issue is at the university level. I think that's done now. But hopefully they have put in safeguards and policies and procedures that will never allow any staff to do that. Although I guess one of their officials was the provost had an issue a couple of years ago with sexual harassment, and the president left under less than ideal circumstances based on improper conduct he had. So there are issues, and somebody's not minding the store on some of this stuff, but hopefully some of those are over.
Robert, can I just tell you, your microphone, I think, is bouncing on your coat and making the little microphone there. So,
okay. How's this? Better?
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So then we get to the sign stealing thing, which is still mind-boggling. Explain that and explain what's happening.
Okay. So first of all, there is nothing, there is no rule violation for sign stealing. Okay. Let's make that clear. There is no such, anybody can sit and watch film, do whatever they need to do and steal sign. It happens a lot. The issue was that in 1994, due to economic parity reasons, the NCAA passed a rule that says you cannot go scout an opponent in person. Okay, that's the issue here. Now,
the smaller schools
who couldn't afford to put people out there. Okay, now, I'm basing what I'm going to say on the fact that I know people involved for a long time. I've known Ward Manuel since he, since he was an assistant AD in the early 2000s, and we've stayed, in steady contact. I've known Jim Harbaugh since he was 8 years old. I've known his family for 50 years.
Yeah. What do you think of him?
I think he's an amazing guy. He's quirky. He's different. He's got an interesting personality, but he's won wherever he's been. He's a great guy. Loves his players, loves the program, the NCAA and the Big Ten both came out publicly, which is kind of unusual when you're having this much, this early into an investigation. and basically said they had absolutely no evidence that Jim or his staff knew anything about this. And I certainly don't think Ward knew anything about that. There wasn't. This guy was on the staff. He obviously did things that were totally inappropriate. And my biggest concern is at the personnel level. How are you vetting the people you're hiring? This is like the third or fourth time that they've had people with concerns. And frankly, I don't know if there was a story in USA Today yesterday about the individual who did this. And they quote the supervisor of Lake Orion Township who said, "I admire him. I applaud him." And I'm thinking, he was so, passionate about Michigan, and he was so, supportive, and this is what he wanted. And all I kept thinking is, would this guy have supported Gordon Liddy? Because Gordon Liddy could be described the same way. And frankly, when I read the guy's LinkedIn, the kid, why would you hire him? I mean, he was going to war. He wasn't going to fight. He wasn't going to be part of a winning football program. So I think there are personnel procedures, and they have to do a better job of vetting the people they hire. But I don't.
And let me ask you, with the winning, I mean, U of M's had an amazing season and they beat Ohio State. Does the reputation override all that? I mean, the winning season, is this going to override all this sort of scandal?
I really don't think so. I mean, you've got kids that have played their hearts out, to do this. And the coach at Purdue was complaining. He was one of the biggest complainers. I want to ask him, you've won 2 games. Was that because everybody stole your signs? I mean, how about working on getting a winning football program? No, I don't think it will diminish the accomplishments that these kids have had, the leadership, how they've stood up. I think if anything, it's enhanced Sharon Moore, certainly, who's had to step in as the head coach while Jim's been out. And, I think it'll give him an opportunity to be the next coach at Michigan if Jim leaves or retires, or, another job. So I think they've shown a tremendous amount of perseverance and leadership.
Okay.
Robert,
Vanessa?
Eric has a question for you.
Yeah.
Robert, I wanted to, you mentioned personnel issues, and I don't think, based on his background, I don't think a personnel issue is at stake here, because he was a volunteer with the program prior to becoming on staff. So I think he was be fully vetted, and being even in having an HR background, I don't think his sign stealing rules would have come out through any type of background investigation.
Oh, no, it's not that. But if you read his LinkedIn page, there's some quote about where I'm here to exploit the weaknesses of the enemy, and like in very military terms. I'm thinking, is that really the kind of guy I want on my program? I mean, how far is this guy going to go? We're not fighting a war. I mean, football's important, and we've read all that, but it's really not to that level. And is the guy a fanatic that I really want? You want passion, but and they had issues with someone else that they hired and had to let go because of social media posts and so on. So I just think, in today's world, unfortunately, with HR and I'm with, I do HR functions as well. You got to look at social media. You have to, because there are so many people today that think whatever they have to say is so important, they have to let the world know. And so you really have to look at that stuff and make decisions.
One last question, and we're going to let you enjoy your Saturday. Is Jim Harbaugh going to come back after all this, or is that a problem for him to return?
One, I certainly hope he comes back, because he's been tremendous for the program. He's been very, very successful, and he's a really great person. Now, the other thing I do see is how about the NFL, and he does have contacts. But if you've looked at the coaches that have been hired in the NFL, the overwhelming number are first-time young assistants, first-time head coaches. I'm not sure he fits the mold, because I think a lot of owners and general managers don't want somebody that's strong with personality. That's what happened with the 49ers. He won, but the owner and the general manager said, I want the credit. Well, I think that's the trend in the NFL. So
Right.
we'll see. But
Yeah.
he won there before. He'd win again.
Right.
You know, he would do a great job. But I certainly hope he comes back.
All right. Well, Robert, thanks so much for taking the time out. It's always good seeing you.
Likewise. Thanks a lot,
Enjoy
Allan.
Niagara Falls.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
all right.
happy Hanukkah. Take care.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Go blue.
Take care. Go blue. Take care.
All right. We are
That was
okay.
a good interview, Allan. That was great. Listen, every week we're here at McShane's on the corner of Michigan and Trumbull. If you're watching, like, subscribe, and share. And we always tell people to come down and participate. Well, we got one of our viewers here. He's sitting here at the table. He has his own internet show, but he surprised me. He told me he was going to come down one day, and he's actually here. Mr. Les Little, welcome to Detroit in Black and White. How are you?
Well, thank you, fellow patriots. Thank you for allowing me to sit in on the show. I've always enjoyed the show. Yeah.
You've enjoyed the show. Do you have an outrage, and what is it that you want our audience to know about Les Little? And you know what?
The vote is our voice.
The vote is our voice.
That's
Yes.
right. Exactly.
So
it's my outrage. It's always been the system itself. And the only way we can get out of it is use the vote. And unfortunately, a lot of folks don't believe that the vote can get them change the system around. But if you get great leaders like Vanessa Moss that ran for
U.S. Congress.
Yes, and I supported her.
Describe leader when you refer to Vanessa.
And thank Allan. You know what? I like the banter between you and Vanessa every week. I like that.
And we need more involvement. We need men. We need women out there.
If you need black men, you're right.
Talk to us. Talk to us. I missed the telephone calls. I just came in at the end of the radio show. We need to know you're out there watching us. We need to know what you think.
Yeah.
I wish we could communicate more with people. So please just put something on YouTube. When you see us, put something on or say hello. Say Vanessa looks great today because she always looks great. Say something else. Do something. Just let us know you're out there, please.
Well, let me ask you the leadership question. Leadership to me is people that know the system,
right,
and know how to change it.
Right.
And Vanessa is one of those people that can do that.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need more leaders that know how to change the system because the system's been corrupt on both parties.
And I agree with you 100% because I tell
absolutely.
people all the time, being elected to a public office does not make you a leader. You
That's
just
right.
have been
Exactly.
elected to a
That's
leadership
right.
role.
That's right.
Your actions define
Yeah.
and what makes you a leader.
Which I talk about every week on my show.
Yep.
That leadership is a design thing.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of designers out here to be
Right.
leaders.
Right.
Unfortunately.
So, Les, tell our viewers if they want to watch your show, tell them about your show.
Yeah,
and then we're
I
gonna
know
wrap it
y'all
up.
were on this 910, but I'm the internet, and I call myself I'm the Black 910 ownership. Okay, 910amtalk.com, and you can go on my the internet search engine. You can see some of my old shows. I do 2 shows a week, some Saturday morning and off, but Tuesday is my main show, which I talk about patriotism. And
Now, let me
patriotism.
say this about Les. Les, though, he's not only talking about it, he's about it. He works in the community. He works in a local school on a volunteer basis in his neighborhood. He's lived in his neighborhood for how long have you lived over
14
there?
years now.
14 years.
Yeah.
And he cleans a lot that's there. There's a lot there in his neighborhood. He cuts the grass of his neighbors. That to me is a sign of not only a good person, but that truly is a leader.
That's the community.
Yeah,
That's who leads the
absolutely,
community.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Vanessa, for
Yeah.
asking me to sit in.
So
Appreciate it.
we're going to, it's 10:59, so we get ready to wrap it up. That's your party words. Yours, Jim. Yours, Eric, and then yours, Allan.
I just want to thank you for allow me to sit in on a show that I really respect, and that's what I do. Since high school, it's been in the production business, and I know a good production when I see one,
Okay.
and y'all have one. So
Oh,
thanks for
great.
allowing me to sit in.
Very quickly, the city of Detroit and Michigan and the country lost a great man, Charles Adams, Charles
yeah.
Gilchrist Adams,
Yeah.
from Hartford Memorial Baptist
Yeah.
Church. And I had the opportunity to attend a service at the church, and those people treated us like gold. They're hurting today, and I'm thinking about them. And we lost a legend, and Michigan and the country lost a
I
legend.
agree. I agree.
I want to piggyback on what Jim said. When I was growing up in Detroit, well, as I became a young adult, I attended Hartford, and on a regular basis between him and Fred Sampson, you could not find two greater black men that were the epitome of what greatness in the black community was. Fred Sampson and Reverend Adams were just people to look up to. And both of them, Reverend Sampson died years ago, but both of them will be dearly missed. As we saw all the social media tributes to Reverend Sampson, I mean, it was just amazing. It just spoke to the impact he had on not just citizens in Detroit, but his fraternity, the whole church community around the world. He's an Omega Psi Phi. It's just, he was an amazing man. He was amazing. He will be missed.
Yeah. So, to wrap it up, I want to tell everyone, thank you for watching Detroit Black and White. Like, subscribe, and share. We'll be back here next Saturday from 10 to 11 o'clock. Thank you for all of the guests, the Deputy Mayor, Todd Bettison, Robert Brown. Thank you, Allan, for helping with production every week. Jim, Teresa, thank you so much. And looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
All right.